facing threatening skies here in the mountains of eastern Pennsylvania as we're getting set to start the Miller High Life 500. Yesterday's Monroe time trials almost got washed out, but Jeff Bodine managed to win the Busch pole with a speed of 153.6 miles per hour. Here they come down the front straightaway to face the starter stand in as orderly fashion as you'll see these cars all day. Green flag is on, and quickly they fan out the width of the racetrack.
Cars separating maybe 3 and 4 wide. Back in the pack, you see them now 5 wide as they come up through the gearbox and head toward turn 1.
That's Tommy Ellis way on the inside, about midpoint through the pack. He picks up a couple of positions on the brake.
Turn 1 is a real tight hairpin. It's the most banked of all the 3 turns at Pocono, some 16 degrees, but Bodine looks like he's got a shot out of turn 1.
Starting from the inside pole, Bodine had a decided advantage, and where is Benny Parsons? Bodine's teammate, Tim Richmond, in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet is perking along right on Bodine's bumper as they head up for turn 2.
Jeff Bodine has already won twice this year. Richmond's still looking for his first win. He would like to have been on the pole here. It was awfully close. Now he's going to work over his teammate and see if he can make a move up in turn 3.
They may be teammates, but there's no team orders here. Whichever driver can get to the front will do so. Turn 3, very flat. Deceiving as you see the exit of it here onto the front straightaway. They travel over 3,000 feet down toward turn number 1 again, and that straightaway is some 6 lanes wide. Field pretty well strung out back to about the 5th or 6th spot. That's Ricky Rudd's Ford to the inside. Up ahead of him, everybody's single file.
Looks like Benny Parsons taking his time trying to stay single file about 3 or 4 car lengths back from Tim Richmond. There's the front 3 cars, Bodine, Richmond, and Parsons, as Bodine now trying to pull away a little bit from his teammate, Tim Richmond.
And Parsons pulling right up to the bumper of Richmond's second-place car. Benny was on the outside on the initial start, and that's not the best way to get into turn 1. So he had to give way, had hoped to get in line behind Bodine, but Richmond was there.
Benny Parsons won here at Pocono back in 1977. It was a long time since he's tasted victory lane here in the Pocono Mountains. But now Parsons is eager to get back to the front.
They're headed for turn 3, and Bonnet in car number 12 tries to dip the nose underneath Tim Richmond. Nothing doing there. They'll come off turn 3. Bodine, the race leader. Parsons now second. Tim Richmond in third. And still some good side-by-side racing back through the top 10.
Some 3 and 4 wide on this 7/10 of a mile straightaway, the longest straightaway on the Winston Cup Tour, even longer than Talladega, Alabama. They will come charging maybe 170, 80 miles an hour to turn 1. Benny Parsons now trying to hold off Tim Richmond as they're battling back in the pack.
There's Richard Petty in 43 with Bobby Allison and Harry Gant. Scrambling for a piece of real estate, and now you're with the race leader, Jeff Bodine, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Until 1986, Pocono was as close as the Winston Cup Tour came to his home in Chemung, New York. This year they'll attack the road course at Watkins Glen, and it'll be quite a homecoming for Bodine and his many fans. They had a big fan club meeting last night here at Pocono to honor their driver, who had responded by giving his fans something to cheer about, the pole position.
Although Jeff Bodine has never won here at Pocono, he's had 2 fourth-place finishes. It's his best finish ever in both events last year. He won 2 modified events here at Pocono in years back.
Ricky Rudd on the right side of your screen working his way up. Down the straightaway, he has Dale Earnhardt in his draft. Earnhardt's the Winston Cup point leader. Oh, Earnhardt gets into the back of Neil Bonnet, and Bonnet's going for a ride. Slides up the racetrack, and his teammate, Darrell Waltrip, piles in. And quickly, both of Junior Johnson's cars have suffered heavy damage down in turn 1.
Neil Bonnet's car now sits crippled on the outside of the track down in turn 1. The front end heavily damaged. Bonnet now trying to get the car rolled down off the banking. It looked like possibly Waltrip was going to try to avoid him on the outside, but Bonnet's car came up across the track and tagged Waltrip.
We'll get a chance to see it in replay as Bonnet drives away. Now Waltrip is already halfway around the track. Hard to tell if there was contact between Earnhardt and Bonnet, but Bonnet and his teammate definitely get together. Neil Bonnet's made his way to pit road.
Neil Bonnet's car is really bent up. The left front quarter is badly damaged on this automobile. They've got big trouble here. They have not had a good time at Pocono. In fact, they haven't had a good time all year. Just yesterday in the very last practice, this team had the rear end split in half on them on the very last lap. I've never seen that happen to anybody, but doesn't matter what's going on. It seems as if this year is not Neil Bonnet's year.
Jerry, that's a bad way to get your race started.
It really is. The Budweiser Chevrolet Monte Carlo short by some 6 or 8 inches up front.
Here here is Darrell Waltrip on pit road, and Dick Berggren has moved his way down to the pit of the other Junior Johnson car.
This is Darrell Waltrip's second pit stop for this incident. They're taking the hood off. They do have another radiator here ready to go in, and oh, there is significant damage inside under the hood area of the automobile. Bracketry that holds the radiator is pushed back. The radiator is pushed back. This is not the kind of brake Darrell Waltrip wanted or needed for sure. Team car Neil Bonnet still sitting on pit road behind them. They are working, trying to get that automobile together to rejoin the race. Waltrip sits here with his engine silent as the crew goes to work.
Waltrip trying to defend his Winston Cup championship of a year ago, not having much luck of it here in Pocono, Pennsylvania. We're under the first caution of the day. There's a look at the leaderboard. Bodine up front, Benny Parsons, Tim Richmond, just the way they started. Then Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd, the fifth-place car, the first Ford in the field after those Chevrolets and Oldsmobiles at the front. Bodine has the lead coming down the front straightaway as we drop the green flag, and we're back racing.
Jeff Bodine has never won here in Pocono. He would like to pick up his first win ever in the Pocono Mountains. Benny Parsons hasn't won here for a number of years. His car running awfully strong, but he's falling back as Bodine now pulls away.
Jeff Bodine, the Chemung, New York native, cut quite a swath through Northeast NASCAR modified racing before coming to the Winston Cup division. He's had quite a bit of success for car owner Rick Hendrick. Up over turn 2. Turn number 3 on the shortest of the 3 straightaways at this very unique tri-cornered racetrack.
Battle back in the pack. That's Ricky Rudd, Tim Richmond, and Dale Earnhardt. A couple of car lengths back is Terry Labonte.
That's from third place on back. Richard Petty is there, so too Morgan Shepherd. The field well strung out, but quickly you'll see cars diving to the right. There's Richmond having a peek to the inside of Ricky Rudd. That'll be for third spot at turn 1, and Richmond's going to get it.
And it looks like Benny Parsons trying to reel in Jeff Bodine. Bodine won a couple of times in Pocono in the modified ranks, but has yet to pick up a Winston Cup win here.
Oh, trouble as Morgan Shepherd gets sideways, and Terry Labonte puts his car sideways as well. There, sliding to avoid them, is Rusty Wallace. And 3 cars have spun off the track at the tunnel turn. Caution is out for the second time today.
And Rusty Wallace gets his car refired and moves back on the speedway. And here's Morgan Shepherd and Labonte. They almost come together under caution. Morgan Shepherd tries to pull away. Labonte stops. Now your turn, my turn. Now they pull back on the speedway.
Cale Yarborough very nearly missed having a major part of that incident. But everyone else got by. That's Morgan Shepherd pulling away. And we'll take another look at it.
Here's Labonte and Shepherd sliding sideways. Look at Penny behind him and Yarborough. They get to the high side and miss them. Rusty Wallace almost gets by. His car slipping and sliding the Aluguard Pontiac. Here is Shepherd across the grass and Labonte all sliding some 200 feet out of turn 2.
Wallace was driving blind through the smoke coming off of Shepherd's tires.
Here comes Terry Labonte in. The right rear corner of that car appears to have sustained some damage. Labonte has right in front of him at the moment Darrell Waltrip. There are 2, 4, 6, 7 members working on Waltrip's car trying to take care of it. Steve Emile, the right front tire man on Labonte's team, lost the right front tire, rolled across the track. He's got it now. What a wild start to this race this afternoon in Pocono.
There's Emile talking to his driver. He's also the crew chief on Labonte's car. And this is Steve Emile's home track as well. He's a native of Albany, New York. There's Junior Johnson looking disgruntled. Both of his cars heavily damaged in the first caution flag of the day. And there's Waltrip's being pushed back toward the garage area.
And Waltrip having a rough day. He will be the first car to exit here in Pocono.
Light is out atop the Pontiac safety car. One more lap, and we'll go back racing under the green with Tim Richmond on the point. There's the Waltrip crew working, but slowly. Here's Dick Berggren.
Darrell, tough day. Looks like the motor is gone. Yeah, the wreck, I guess, had something to do with it. I don't know. Looked like it. Neil and Dale got together down there and spun Neil, and I got lost in the smoke, and I couldn't see where anybody was, and I ended up hitting Neil pretty good, and then I come in here and we were working on it. I thought we were going to be all right, some laps down, but the engine blew, so I don't know what's going on.
stops, and here is Chet Phillips getting a free car wash down in the infield at turn number 1. You see the effects of the heavy rains here yesterday as the rookie driver from Ozona, Texas, spins his car to a stop, and we're under caution yet again.
And the former IndyCar driver trying to get out of the grassy area down in turn 1, loops it back around the Ford T-Bird. Had a pretty good run going. He may yet have a good finish. He drives awfully well on demanding racetracks.
And once again, everybody's on pit road. Let's go back to Dick.
Well, here's Tim Richmond for his pit stop. Allison Rudd and Benny Parsons have already completed their pit stops. They were in a position such that when the yellow flag came out, they darted right in the pits, and before Bodine or before Richmond or any of the other leaders got here, their service was already complete. Most of the teams are taking on 4 tires, as is the case with Tim Richmond.
There's what's left of Neil Bonnett's car after being involved in that first crash, and you see the skies darkening. It appears that rain is imminent here in the mountains of eastern Pennsylvania. It's been threatening skies all day, and it rained here heavily on Saturday.
Record crowd has jammed their way into the Pocono Raceway here in the beautiful Pocono Mountains. And the weather, the threatening skies, didn't keep them away. They wanted to see NASCAR action. A green flag. They're back at it here at Pocono.
Well, you see how dark the sky is. I hope there's some umbrellas up in that grandstand. They may be needed here shortly. Earnhardt made a nifty move, middle of the pack. You saw that yellow car dart to the inside and then cut back in line as they race back into turn number 1.
Ricky Rudd has the Budmore Ford at the point of the field, and he's being pursued by Bobby Allison, the Miller Buick. Back in the pack. They're working their way back up toward the front. Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine in the car number 5, and the lap car, Morgan Shepherd.
Bodine trying to race up to be in position to challenge for the lead once more. Rudd has it in the 4th, then Allison's Buick, Tim Richmond Chevrolet, and there is Bodine in the 4th spot.
The car that's on the move right now is Tim Richmond, the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Richmond has gone by. He has shuffled Bobby Allison back to 3rd spot, and Richmond will set his sights on Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd, Motorcraft Ford for car owner Bud Moore. Faces the field here at Pocono. You see the yellow nose of Bodine's car looking to the inside as Rudd snakes the field down the straightaway. To the inside, now the outside, and they break formation behind him. Tim Richmond steals the lead away in turn number 1 as Dick Berggren is set up in Tim Richmond's pits.
Harry Hyde, are you playing this race for the weather right now?
Yeah, we sure are, but we got that Levi Garrett machine set up there, and I don't know if that Folgers coffee machine can get him or not. But we're going to try to be in the lead if we can when this weather starts, and we're expecting it in the next 10 to 12 laps. So if we got enough, yes, we're going to play it according to the weather. We're going to try to be in the lead.
Bodine leads Tim Richmond as the race nears the halfway point. Yellow is out for rain showers on the speedway, which will quickly become a deluge, and there is Earnhardt battling Richmond back to the line on this 5-lane wide straightaway. Richmond will get that 2nd spot, but Bodine will cross the start-finish line first. He's the race leader as we go to caution. NASCAR dictates that if this race goes to halfway, it can be called complete and official if it's unable to be restarted. Caution is out here just a handful of laps from that halfway point, so they'll continue to roll around.